Hello, my Nevermore Hollow psychos. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Tonight, got another interview for you lined up. Here with Madman. Madman, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
And you have different equipment tonight, Madman. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, I'm not on my phone tonight, so it's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. And we have with us Brother Ashes. And I met him at the Arkansas Cryptid Fest that we had a couple weeks back. And we got to talking. He came by the booth and we got to talking and realized that, we're kind of kindred spirits. We got some, similar loves and experiences. And then he invited us on his show. And we had a good time on his show the other night. And so we thought, what? Let's just continue that collaboration and invite him on our show. So, Ashes, if you want to take a minute and introduce yourself and tell us about you got 2 channels. Tell us about what you got going on, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Ashes, and I have 2 channels. Excuse me. Yeah, Ashes Antics is my gaming channel. Been having it about 4 years. I'm a nerd, love the game, but through my paranormal experiences and stuff like that, I decided to start a podcast a little over probably a year ago, maybe 13, 14 months. So my podcast is called The Boom Boom Room. And I cover it all. Bigfoot, cryptids, supernatural, anything, aliens, abductions. So every and all cool. In that same, I guess you'd call it genre or whatever. And but when I started out, that was something different. It was just for, to hang out with friends and just talk, but it slowly evolved into that. So
good. So, this may be a loaded question here, but which one of your channels you like doing the best?
To be honest with you, I know that's just kind of funny you asked that. I've been talking to a couple friends. One friend, I've been knowing him 7 years. He's from California, never met him in person. And he's a co-host of mine. And I think now it's got definitely my podcast. And the reason why is the people I've met. I get to talk to so many people because, the way I used to work, I'm retired now because of my health. I was a salesman, and I'd get jobs and I'd physically do them too. But I used to love talking to people, meeting people, and that's interesting to me. Just meeting different people and their backgrounds, their life, what's happened to them. But definitely, I love them both. But I'd have to say right now at this moment, I'd have to say my podcast.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, because that fits, kind of like what you're saying, your personality, loving to talk to people. And that's what Chris and I do. My wife and daughter hate going anywhere with me because I'm always in a conversation with somebody I don't know. Literally last night we went to the store and we parked. And as I was getting out, this guy and I start talking, and we stand there for about 3 or 4 minutes and we talk, hey man, you have a good day. And I have a good day. We walked off. My wife went, you didn't know that guy, did you? I said, never seen him before in my life.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same way. Like on my gaming channel, my favorite part is live streaming.
Yeah.
Because last night, I'm a night owl, and I knew what was going to bring in the viewers right now, a certain game and a certain hook, a challenge. So I'm playing, and I've had a lot of people on my chat before, and I've had 1 or 2 people. And anyway, I had 27 people in there last night, and it used to be, the algorithm's weird. I used to have like 40, 50 people, and then for a few months, I was having 100, 200 people. It was crazy number.
Wow.
But last night I had 27 people and like 3 or 4 people talking. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm playing a game and I'm asking this person that's been following me for 2 years, how you been doing? how you been feeling, and then just laugh and stuff. So yeah, that's my favorite part of both channels is to interact and talk to people. I just love that part, you know.
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
and see with the format of our channel, we tell stories, so we
Yeah.
don't get to have that interaction that Chris and I crave. But as our YouTube channel, as it continues to grow, we're getting ready to start maybe doing some live stream stuff, and we're trying to figure out how to make that work for for what we do. But it's always good, like when we thrive when we go to cons, when we're at a
Yeah.
Comic-Con or a
Yeah.
horror con, and we get to speak with people who, whether they know about the show or not, we're having that immediate interaction with people and making connections, and we really thrive on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So all right, so let's get into some of your as you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago at the con, we talked just briefly. You mentioned that you'd had some experiences, and Monday night when we were on your show, you were telling us that you'd had some experiences. So let's talk about some of those. I guess I'll start with this. Have you ever had a cryptid experience?
Well, I think that I had a Class B Bigfoot sighting. I think it was 2011. Yeah, it was 2011 when I had it. So yes, I mean that's what I had. I mean, if you, I could either start from my first experience, or I can, tell you about that if you want me to.
Well, I'll let you decide whichever way you want to tell it, but let's do this, because
okay.
a lot of folks who listen to our show we do really well with the cryptid community. We're
Okay.
more horror themed, but we do great. The cryptid community loves us, and we love them. But some of the folks who are listening tonight may not understand what a Class B sighting is. Can you kind of tell us what that is?
Okay. Yeah. I was going to explain that. What it is when you have a sighting of a cryptid, there's many different cryptids, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Dogman, different creatures. There's countless, and you don't see it. You don't actually physically see it, but you hear it, or see movement or something like that. You see it interacting with something, but you don't actually see it. That's what a Class B sighting is. But anyway, that's what got me going down the rabbit hole. I've had experiences since I was younger, since I was a kid, but this right here really got me thinking. And I guess if you want me to go ahead and start, I'll go ahead.
Man. Get in there.
Well, before 2011, and at this time, when this happened, I was sober. I just want to put that out on the table. Because I've been, I was sober at this time. But before all this happened, I didn't believe in Dogman. I thought Dogman was a werewolf, movie thing, a werewolf. I never heard the term Dogman. Bigfoot, I thought it was just an undiscovered ape,
Right.
And I understand a lot of people believe that, they got their views and opinions. I respect all views and opinions, but from what pictures I've seen, the people I've talked to, I believe that, Bigfoot, Sasquatch is it can be physical and can be on the woo side or supernatural. But anyway, what happened, I had a new mobile home at the time, and to kind of put to people that know anything about the cryptic world or kind of the areas where stuff happens, I was in eastern Oklahoma. I grew up there. I grew up like 3.5 miles from this Native American burial grounds. It's supposed to be over 2,000 years old. And a lot of strange things happen. I know you say, well, that's a long ways, but it's not that far, 2.5 miles. But in the county is LaFleur County. And there's a lot of stuff that's happened there, supposedly, the Bigfoot wars back in I guess in the I don't know exact date, but 1800s.
1800s.
But anyway, yeah. I was but I'll never forget. There's things that kind of comes back to me here and there because I'm older, got a bad memory, and probably, fried a few brain cells, the chemicals I've, partaken in through my lifetime. But it's been a while. But it was about 2:30 in the morning. At the time, I used to smoke, and I went out on my front porch. I had a new mobile home. And I had those they give you these little porches, little small porches,
Yeah.
when they set a new mobile home up. So I'm out on it. Now, to kind of give you another context, the area, it's like an L right off a little two-lane highway out in the country, about 3 miles from the nearest town. Um, Probably 2,500 people there, something like that population. But I grew up around, out in the country. So when you turn off the little highway, it made an L. This made an L to another 2-lane highway that went and dead ended in the Arkansas River by those mountains. Well, this land family owned most of it, and they bought it back in the 70s. And my uncles, aunts, grandfathers, and everything. I had some weird stuff happen there, and we still own it. But I don't, that's another story. I don't go out to it too much. My sister lives there now, but when you go around the L shape, I had a mobile home. I grew up by the highway, and my mom's dad's place. But I basically, my second wife, I married the neighbor in a way, And but anyway, had a new mobile home. And when I'm sitting there, and this was like around the curve, I'm sitting on the porch, a little gravel road. I say about 50, 60 yards is these woods. Now, these woods, there's a little bitty clearing with a concrete pad. Used to be a church. When they first moved there, my family built a church so they could worship, but somebody arsoned it and burned it down.
Oh, wow.
But there was a little, concrete pad there. And these woods, we used to play in the woods when we were kids, a little bitty creek in the woods. And you can actually go in these woods, walk all the way back and not be out in the open and go all the way to the river and to the, mounds area. So I'm sitting there 2:30 in the morning smoking. I start hearing something just crashing through the woods. Now, how long this whole interaction happened, I say at the most, maybe 10, 15 seconds, So I hear it crashing. My mind, what it sounded like, and I've always told this because it's the only thing that kind of comes close to the sound. It sounded like a small vehicle or a Volkswagen Beetle coming through the woods, or an elephant with no engine, just crashing through. I've never heard nothing like it. So first thought, I said, that's some of the teenage boys. They're on a side-by-side or a four-wheeler. That's my first, and when they come out in this clearing, I'm going to be hollering at them, or screaming to be coming through here 2:30 in the morning. And there was my uncle, an old person on the corner. And then right there is my ex-wife now, her grandma, living there, and her grandpa that was sick. I said, this is disrespectful. Mm-hmm. All that come in my mind that fast, thinking. Well, I'm looking, and I start seeing, these trees like Jurassic Park, and I can't see really, really good, but I could see pretty decent because I know there's moonlight. It wasn't moonless night. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, I don't hear an engine, this is weird. I don't hear an engine, where's the engine? I start seeing these trees like that just kind of parting while it's coming, all I'm seeing is tree movement crashing. Well, when it gets to just before it gets to the clearing, the crashing and everything stops. When it stops, I know I'm looking. I said, something's going to come out here. I don't know what it is. Well, it roared.
Oh.
Well, when it roared, yes. I'm 50, 60 yards from it. When it roared, I've never heard anything like it. All I could say, it was like an elephant, a lion, just guttural, freaking. It was high pitched and guttural at the same time. And I could feel it from that far away just vibrate my insides.
Yeah.
And I used to be a big NASCAR guy. I used to work on the road, and I'd go and see NASCAR in Texas, Kansas City. I'd see IndyCar racing, and I've been to Top Fuel Funny Cars in Kansas too. And I know how it feels to get your inside vibrated by an engine, rivet. And that's the only thing that I can explain that what it said, what it done physically to me. And another thing it done, I remember I froze stiff. I just couldn't move, for a second.
So let me interject right there. There's a couple of questions. So it's 50 yards away, and you feel that vibration in your chest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So because most people are going to go, well, it was a bear, right? Well, I don't think you could feel the roar of a bear in your chest from 50 yards away.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting. So now the second thing, you're frozen in place.
Yep.
Now, do you think it's from fear, or do you think there's some other force causing you to be frozen in place?
I think it's two things. Because first, as soon as it happened, I did not think, Bigfoot was not in my mind at all.
Right.
All right. I thought it was something just straight 100% demonic. That's what I thought, because I've dealt with demonic things my whole life. And another thing with the bears are around that area, but they're rare because there's really not no mountains. You got to get over west, or over east towards the Ozarks. And black bears have been seen in that area, but I'm 49 years old. I remember only one time in my life a black bear, and it was some kind of smaller black bear that was seen. So I knew it was not a bear. No way, it was a bear. And from there till probably 2 years ago, I thought it was demonic. I did not think it was a bear. I'm Bigfoot.
Right.
Until 2 years ago, and to all the people I talked to. Now, I can't say 100% it was a Bigfoot. I can't say it was a Sasquatch. But the people I've talked to, the evidence that I've been, the exact same things happened to them. I can't think of anything else it could be,
So to interject there, at the time, you're experiencing this thing, you're feeling this presence, you're being held in place by some force, and your mind goes demonic because of some history that you've had, which I want us to get to there in a bit.
Yes.
But all this time, so how long goes while you're thinking, dude, that was some sort of, forest demon or whatever. So how long did you go from that moment until you said a couple of years ago? What kind of time frame was that?
Well, let me tell you this, exactly what happened. I got a little bit left to the story. When it roared, I've stuck in place for, I don't know, a few seconds or whatever. I just remember turning around, opening the door up, going in, and I don't remember nothing else. I woke up the next morning, too. That's another thing. I do not remember, which I do have a bad memory on certain things.
Right.
I don't know if I suppressed memories because that was a rough time in my life. I had a lot going on in my life. About 2 years later, kind of things went off the deep end, got really lost in a lot of things. But, I don't. But anyway, from that time, okay, what was the question again? I'm sorry, Alan.
No. I was curious from the time that you felt that situation, and you said you thought for a long time that it was demonic. When you're saying all those years or all that time that you thought it was demonic, and until you came to the conclusion it might be a Bigfoot. How long was that?
Well, from 2011 to 2024.
Wow.
You know, because
Okay.
because I started watching Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah.
There's them guys, Jeremiah Byron, and then I found both of these guys that are good friends of mine, Daniel Hamilton, the Cryptid Podcast, and Josh Smith of Mysteries Unknown. I started watching them guys.
Cool.
So
And
so with that, and Chris, you can interject with any questions you
Well,
have, but go ahead.
an observation. Um, when he said he was frozen in place, I think that is a primal response because we're used to being the apex guy, the apex animal. And when we hear something that we know is bigger than us, we can tell it's bigger than us. I think there's a primal part in our brain that says freeze. And then also, when you said you turned around, you went in, you don't remember anything else. Again, I think that's another backup system in our brain that protects us from stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Well,
I hear a lot of people say stuff like that I don't remember what happened next. I ended up at the truck, and I don't think Bigfoot picked them up and carried them there. I think they got to the safe place where they were supposed to be, and the human brain went, all right, we're not going to remember this right now. We're going to try to filter it and see what we can come up with, and then we'll deal with it later.
yeah.
so for my edification here, I have a pretty good cryptid background, but mine's more paranormal, and I know those two things intertwine. But so I didn't realize that loss of time could be attributed to a cryptid or Bigfoot sighting. I always thought maybe that was demonic or alien, which I don't. Personally, my belief is that they're not aliens; they're demonic entities anyway. But it fits a more classic alien abduction kind of thing to lose some time. But where my mind went when Ashes was telling that, though, is when he kind of got frozen and all that, and then he forgot. I thought, one of the new theories is that Bigfoot can use psionics to cloud your judgment.
Oh,
your
yeah,
mind.
get zapped.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I mean, to be honest with you guys, I believe I got zapped. That's because it was weird. Because I mean, I've seen demons manifest in front of me, and I've never been scared. Because I know that I got authority over.
Right,
it,
right.
So, but that was the scariest. That was spooky, man. Because especially, you hear something that you've never heard before like that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, especially the way you describe it. Now you said something else, Chris. Sorry, but
No,
this is
go
something
for it. Go for it.
He said this a second ago that I wrote down because I want to understand this. He said that coming from the river over next to the mounds. What mounds are you talking about?
They call it spiral mounds. It's a Native American burial grounds. It's over 2,000 years old. The history of them, I think I'm going to do a video on them. But when they dug up the artifacts and took them to Oklahoma City, like so many people mysteriously died weird ways. And, there's been sightings of cryptids. I got a friend that recently told me some weird sightings. I'll get into that too, because you got to hear that. Because she's a 65-year-old. She's a black lady, family friend. I go visit her all the time. Because down there by the mounds, there's it's called Fort Coffee. There's mostly predominant black community. Out the country. And I grew up with all of these people. All of them and. All the farmers, and I go visit her probably every other day. She don't live far. She moved over here in Arkansas, and she don't like to drive. And I went to school with her brother. Her brother's a pastor here in town, and I've known her for years too. But I'll go see her. And she told me something which I don't want to get ahead of that. I'm just telling you that those mounds, there's a lot going on, is what I'm saying. Right
yeah, because I'm curious. I mean, yeah, it could be Bigfoot. It could be. It could be something demonic. It could also be something related to those mounds.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. Okay, so all right, so since you brought it up, and we can always circle back around to the cryptid thing again, but you've brought it up a couple of times, and I know the listeners are going to want to know what the heck when you said that you've dealt with the demonic your whole life and you have seen demons manifest.
Right.
That is going to be something the Nevermore Hollows folks are going to want to hear about.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, this is this is something that I'll kind of start. I've got a few incidents, but this one here happened when I was 7 or 8 years old. Okay. In the same land, because it's like I said, this is like what it is. It's an L-shaped gravel road, and there's lots of mobile homes. It's not a super big yard. Some of them's like a half an acre. But these are all my family, and like I said, this all happened on this, county, LaFleur County, 2.5 miles from. Now, one incident didn't happen. It's happening here in town in Arkansas. But anyway, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was always a little scared of the dark when I was a kid. So we had a mobile home. I remember that. And in the mobile home, in my mom's bedroom, I know you could get up, and it'd be the end of the mobile home was the bathroom, and it was a little small window. And this little small window, if you look out, there was a little bitty path through the gate, and my grandma was there. My grandpa passed away before I was born. My grandma, she lived a long time because she was prophesied over. She lived like 101 years old. She did.
Wow.
And anyway, she had a little RV camper there. She didn't need no big place, because she's just her by herself, and she'd come over a lot, and visit. She's practically touching her mobile home. But anyway, you look through there, there's a storm shelter, there's a little path, and a little path, goes to the gravel road that goes down there towards the woods and all that. But anyway, I was about 7 or 8 years old. I used to sleep on my stomach. I'd sleep on the floor. My mom make me a little pallet. That's what she'd call it at the time. And I remember I was sleeping on my stomach one night, and something physically, I could feel it, because, when a certain thing happens and you can't see, what's happening, but what's happening, the way you get touched or whatever, something physically was in my back on top of me and grabbed me like this and started shaking me just like that. So, I'm on my stomach as a kid and something's shaking me. And I turned around, there's nothing there. And I couldn't move. I was frozen stiff, And I can't remember if it was sleep paralyzation, which I've had that, a few times, and stuff's happened. So I tried to wake my mom and dad up. Couldn't hardly wake them up. Finally, I wake them up. We didn't look. There he is. I thought we lost you. But I finally wake my mom up. She said, go back to sleep. My mom she was a good listener because things had happened to her before. I don't remember why that she'd say, go back to sleep is a nightmare. The typical response that you hear in the movies or whatever. But anyway, I don't know if I went back to sleep because this was weird, thinking about this. But this actually happened. Everything that's ever happened, I know 100% this happened. Well, anyway, I get up and go to the bathroom. I don't know why. I think I had to relieve myself. I don't know if I was drawn through the window or what. I go, and I know this was not a nightmare. It was, it could have been a vision. I don't know. But I physically had something on my back. So I go to the bathroom. I looked at that little window I was talking about, and all I see is a small creature, maybe 2 foot tall. I remember it was small. Maybe 2 foot tall. It was like I could not see what it was from waist up. You know what I mean? I could just see from waist down, and I remember like reddish fur. I don't know if that was actually a part of its body or was it something where it was wearing, because in that part of Oklahoma you hear about I don't know the exact name of them, but the little people they call them or
Oh,
something.
the Puckwudgies.
Puckwudgies, because I know in northeastern Oklahoma they've been sighted a lot.
Right.
So could it have been one of those? I don't, because for years I thought it was just straight demonic. Again, maybe it was, probably was, or could it have been some kind of little troll or small person, what you said? I don't know, but but here's the kicker. Down the road, about 4 lots down, right by the woods, my uncle lived, and he was a Sunday school pastor.
Right.
The night before, because I remember this so vividly, because it was like a night before, 2 nights before, I had a crazy nightmare, I remember. And then my uncle was telling my mom that something small come to him in his mobile home. And I remember my mom, she'd joke about anything. She would joke at a funeral. That's just how she was. But I remember my uncle was saying that this small creature, it had to be the same creature, came to him and was calling him daddy. That's all. We'll start calling him father, daddy. I know it sounds funny, And and my mom would always, but mom's stuff would happen to my mom too. But that was weird for the same kind of creature come to him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine it? Walking up going, daddy, daddy. But my mom would give him a hard time about it. But yeah. That kind of happened.
I don't mean to laugh at that.
No, it is funny. It is funny.
That caught me off guard. Look, of all the things that I have experienced in my life, and all the things that Chris and I have talked about that he experienced, and we've talked to a lot of people that we don't typically interview like this, but we have talked to a lot of people. I have never heard anything like that. That absolutely caught me off guard.
I did hear a story on another podcast where it was a creature like that was crawling towards a guy's aunt. She was sleeping staying over for a while, and it was calling her mama.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. A small creature. You're talking like a small creature, Madman?
Yeah, a smaller creature.
So now think
that's
about
what she said it was.
Well, I mean, think about that. That kind of rings true. That gives even more credence to what he's talking about, right? Because there are going to be people out there going, man, these dudes are whack. But no, here's 2 separate stories on 2 different states, 1,000 miles apart, right? Having some sort of similar interaction with a small creature.
But here's the thing. If an entity wanted you to accept it, it's going to show itself as something innocent. And as humans, we're geared, if we see something that is hurt, that's small, especially if it mimics a child or something like that, we want to help it.
Yeah.
So, how else would a trickster entity try to get to somebody?
Right. Yeah. That's a good point about it being a trickster entity. I didn't think about that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, while that caught me off guard, that's still fascinating and terrifying because you're right, Chris. We're geared to go, we need to help this thing.
That's freakish.
Okay. So there's something I'm noticing here too. You're saying this was like a little small trailer park community out there in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah. It really wasn't a trailer park. I guess it kind of is. it's just, my family owned it.
Yeah.
You know, I told you that I'm Romani, and and that's where a lot of us lived out there, out of town, and they had, everybody else called it the gypsy camp.
Right.
So it was a bunch of gypsies out there that lived. Some had houses. It's bigger, way bigger now, but that's where we grew up from the 70s.
Yeah.
Moved there, and my dad got MS. He was a veteran. He was in the Navy. He was air traffic controlman. He got out and married my mom. He'd work on the road, and then he got sick, so he kind of settled down and put roots there. And but yeah, it was, you can imagine, it was probably our mobile home. My sister lives there now. She just bought a new mobile home, but right off the little highway, it was 2-lane. Then it become 4-lane highway now, and probably 1, 2, 3, 4 on this right side. About five mobile home lots before you hit the woods and go around the curve. It's like an L.
Uh-huh.
And then there's homes, mobile homes through there, and there's people that come that's not family that's moved in there now. It's kind of went to nothing. There's a lot of aunts and uncles are all dead, passed away, and I don't even go out there much.
What I'm thinking is it seems like whatever spiritual or cryptid entities, because it sounds like there was multiple things happening out there.
Yep.
It was either that little community was in an area that was prone or inhabited by these creatures or entities, or you somehow they were being drawn to you in that community. So what do you think, Ashes?
I think it's a little bit of both, because the reason why is before my family, they all got saved in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So my grandma back in the 40s and 50s used to tell fortunes and stuff. But
Okay.
I don't know if I never really talked to her a lot about it. I don't know if it was just a kind of a more, I don't know if it was real or if it was a con she was pulling. I was just being honest,
Yeah, man.
But my nephew was talking the other day about it. Said, where's great grandma's crystal ball? I said, what? Yeah, crystal ball. I said, I didn't even know she had one, So, but.
So did you ever find that crystal ball?
I don't know who got it. I mean, look, though, you got to look at this here. This is crazy when I tell you this. She was 101 when she passed away, and that's what's guesstimate. My dad, that was my mom's mom, right?
Right.
But my dad guesstimated her age, he told me years ago. But he thinks that she was 101. Might be a little older. Preacher prophesied over her, said she'd live a long life. But here's the kicker. When she died, total grandchildren, and I'm talking about grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, she had 101 total grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's probably about 30 of them that, they're kind of scattered all over the United States, but they live kind of close that probably got it. But, and another thing with the land is, when I told you when what I think was a Sasquatch thing happened to me, and that was my second wife I'm married, which was divorced now. Right there on that land, when I was a kid, they would have these tent revivals. And what it was, I remember them, they was huge. And my mom would tell me, son, they had them tent revivals down there, which I just remember this imprinted in my head.
Right.
My mom was a real spiritual woman. She said they were casting demons out there. They don't know what they were doing. And I said, what do you mean, And what it was, they had these tent revivals, and it had to be, 40 years ago. Then all these Irish, these English, and these Scottish gypsies from all over the United States would meet there and have, and I remember they had a few revivals. It was huge. As a kid, I remember that. But I ended up living on that land for a while. Did that have something to do with it? I don't know. When they said he cast out demons to go to a dry place, but I don't think so. I think it more have to do, to be honest with you, me personally, maybe my bloodline, and plus the land too. I think it's a combination of all of it.
So that kind of gets, you said your bloodline. I wanted you, a lot of people, I'm sure most of our Nevermore Hollow psychos would know what Romani is, but, and you hinted on that too, a lot of folks call them gypsies, and so tell us a little bit about your family's history there.
Well, the family history is, just Romani's is, only thing I can kind of, that when there's main tribes, there's so many all over, the world. But we came from England. I think my great grandparents came from England, and they were horse traders, and they had the wagons and all that. And but our people originated like thousands of years ago, all of them from India. I didn't know this till lately because we've got our own language too. It's called Romani. It's Romnist is what they call it. And there's some famous, ones that are gypsies. We've been persecuted. I had to quit school. I mean, I was because the teachers, would basically were racist. There was a lot of people racist, because we had a bad names. All people think of us as, rip you off. I mean, it's a slang word, our real is Romani, and which I don't mean being called gypsies. When people say you've been gypped, and that was a slang word they called because it was supposed to do with the Egyptians. It was when they were migrating, they call them Egyptian gypsies. But basically, it's just a bloodline of people. In the United States, there's English, Irish. Tyson Fury, the famous boxer, he's Irish. One of my friends sold his aunt's property in Florida. But anyway, English, Irish, Scottish, and Roma. Those are very dark-skinned ones, very, very dark-skinned. But I'm English, like the ones you ever watched, series Peaky Blinders and stuff. But it's kind of sad. I know it's, we've come a long ways with racism and prejudice, but there's still a lot of prejudiced people. And sometimes I'm hesitant to even say, because there's people out there that doesn't judge you for individuality on your character. They judge you because you're either Spanish, Mexican, Gypsy, Black, and there's just, there'll always be racist people. I had an ex-brother-in-law that something bad happened to him because the person was Black. He hated all Black people, and I tried to tell him, man, dude, look at our people that was persecuted, But I don't want to get into the race deal, but like in the Holocaust with the Nazis, they killed a lot of my people, the Gypsies and the Jews.
Yep.
And stuff. You don't hear about that a lot. But anyway, that's basically what it is. And they didn't really believe it's really in the last 50 years they were atheists, Yeah. But a lot of them are Christians now. The Irish are Catholic, and they were very, very superstitious. Our people are not so much now, but
back in the 90s, I lived in Augusta, Georgia, and there was just over into South Carolina. There was a community, and we would interact with them. And I'd never interacted with that culture before. And when you talk about superstitious, they were extremely superstitious. Like one of the things is we had, if there was a broom And I don't know. Yeah, if there was a
Yeah.
broom over the doorway, they wouldn't walk into the room.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we encountered that kind of stuff quite a bit. But all right, so that gets us to this. Given a little bit of that background, understanding that to use the term that a lot of people recognize as gypsies, and understanding that the cultural references there, like you said, your grandmother had a crystal ball and all that.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
you got this little community that is sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, and you're having all these events happen. It could be because Chris and I talk about this a lot. A lot of people don't experience paranormal because they're not open to it.
Right.
And I feel
Yeah.
that when you're open to the paranormal, well, guess what? You're going to see the paranormal. It's kind of like when you're looking for a red car and you see red cars everywhere, right?
Yeah.
When you open your mind to the possibility of the paranormal, then you can kind of start seeing the world for what it really is that it's deeper layered. It's more mystical and surreal than you can imagine. So where I'm going with this line of thought is I'm wondering if the cultural belief system and the cultural bloodline that was on that property, and who knows, again, we've already discussed what that property might have already been.
Yeah, it could be, the property could be haunted.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a perfect storm to have multiple experiences there, because you've got a race of people who are inclined to believe into that, and then you've got the land itself. So,
No, it's true because I used to be real superstitious until I really got super close with the Lord and totally surrender. When I'd be working, I'd have to go to the same gas station. There were certain objects. I'd carry salt everywhere I go. And look, I've got friends with all types of religion, and I respect them as long as it's not harming, anybody physically or whatever. But that's another story. But I believe that real spiritual, and I know that I grew up in a Pentecostal church, but I kind of more went to non-denominational, and I believe it's everything spiritual, Ephesians, Ephesians, and everything spiritual. And it happened a lot with my uncle, my mom, and me, a lot of spiritual things. But yeah, I think it had to do with the land, because 2.5 miles by the mountains, which I'll get into, and I'll tell you about my older friend, what happened to her there, several things.
Yeah. So let's do that, because we're coming up on an hour, and so let's get into that. I can tell you right now, I'm going to want to have you back on the show.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
This has been a fun conversation for me, and Chris,
I'm enjoying it. Yes.
Yeah. So, but before we get into, I would love to hear a good story like that about you. You said your friend, but as we talked about on your show the other night, Chris and I are, our foundational verse for this show is Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the spiritual, for the principalities of the spiritual. So, and I know I just misquoted that, Chris. We talk about that verse all the time. But anyway, but because we do believe in that, we do know that everything all day long, it's a spiritual battle all day long, because we live in a spiritual world. So we align there, Ashes. So all right. So you were saying that you had a friend that had some sort of experience with these mounds.
Yeah, I'll like I said, I'll tell you this story, and I can come back sometimes, because I've got more stuff that's happened to me. Like I said, I had a demon physically manifest in front of me. I've had other things happen, but anyway, she's 65 years old. Known her for probably 30 years. Went to school with her brother. Brother's a pastor here in this big town in Arkansas, but I go see her every other day. She don't like to drive,
right?
She'll call me up, call me my friend. She'll say my friend, But anyway, this happened about 3 or 4 months ago. We mostly talk about the Lord, about family, and just off topics. We don't talk about cryptids until this conversation. I'm fixing to tell you, ghost or nothing like that. We don't talk about that, right? So I was telling her, so what are you doing? She always asks me what I'm doing, what I'm gonna eat, help people, so older people up.
Right,
And
right.
but she dips that snuff, and I'll go get some snuff for her. I'll take her. But she said, I said, I got a podcast. I told her about Dog Man and Bigfoot, all that. She said, let me tell you what happened to me one time. This is 2 incidents. Actually, she said that she would see her aunt as a ghost all the time, and her whole family would see her like brushing her hair in the mirror, this old house she lived in down there by the river, close by the mountains, like probably a half a mile from the mountains. But she said one night they had old juke joint out there. I'm talking about this country, you know what I mean? And this place actually down there now, there's a lot of dangers, you know how everything's danger now.
Yeah.
But
right.
if you don't know where you're going down there, but it's country, and they had old juke joint. And I remember as a kid, I'd go down there, had bootleggers and stuff like that. But she said we were 15, me and my cousin. And I later asked her after this a month later, because I wasn't thinking, was there a graveyard there? And she said, yeah, there was a graveyard real close to where this happened. But she's going to the juke joint, done went down there, scared she's going to get caught. So she's walking back. It's about 2:33 in the morning, she said. And she's 15, and her and her cousin. So she's walking down this gravel road. All of a sudden, she hears this growling, like a dog. She said it was like a dog I ain't never heard, like a growling. So she turned around. She said, and believe me, I drilled her, asking her. I didn't drill her till she was uncomfortable, or, I didn't, disrespect her. But she said, I turned around, and it was the biggest wolf I ever seen on all fours in my life, she said. And I told her, I said, Pam, don't you know that they don't have wolves around here?
Yeah.
I said, but anyway, and I said, well, before I even asked her about any questions about it, she had red eyes. It was on all fours, had like a big mane. She said it was just real, because you always hear dog, man. I'm just, when she's telling me this, on all fours, it's growling. So what did you do? She said, we turned around and took off, which that was the worst thing she could have done. She said, we wasn't that far from home anyway. But she said, when they hit the porch, she said, we turned around and it was going. She heard it running behind them.
Huh.
Now she didn't, she didn't see it go on 2 legs or nothing like that. But I'm sorry I talk so much.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine.
Hey, look, we're enjoying this. That's what we do.
Yeah.
The way we try to do it is, I'm a wordy man. I try not to co-opt the narrative, but your story is, you're telling some great stories. So we're just
I'm enjoying this, man.
Yeah. All right. But I mean, that was it. I mean, she didn't have, but this next one will blow my mind, will blow your mind too when I tell you this. It was freaking weird, dude. She said that was all that happened. The red eyes, it didn't get on, but that was it. And she never seen it anymore. But
so on that, if I can interject there.
No, go ahead.
I would think that if that wolf really wanted them, it could have gotten them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Because it's going to be faster. But I'm curious why it didn't attack. It was obviously it was making its presence known.
It made its presence known. That was it. Yeah, it could have got him. There's no wolves around there. There's coyotes. There's dogs. Could have been a dog, maybe. I mean, I can't say I wasn't there. Could have been a dog, but one and one. Is 2. So, but anyway, she was about, I don't know how old she was, 9, 10 years old. She told me when this happened. And her mom kicked her out the house, give her timed out, the old school, made her get outside. She said she remembers that she can't remember if it was hot or cold. She don't think it was. It was at night. It was 8 or 9. It might have been in the fall, might have been in the spring, but it was dark. So not far from the house, there was a butane tank, propane, the
Right.
big long ones, like when you're a kid, you'd get on and ride them like a horse,
Yeah.
those kind out in the country. So she said, I'm pouting all up, got my arms crossed, and she might have been a little brat, I don't know. So she gets on this butane tank, she said, and I leaned back and had my arms crossed. And she said, all I remember is I heard something, I guess I don't know what she heard. She never elaborated on that. But she said, I leaned up. And when she leaned up, she seen 3 scarecrow figures, creatures. And she said, I know I'm saying she said a lot, but she explained it like this. The best she could explain to me, it was like a family. It was like the mama and the dad, because one was bigger, a little bit smaller, and another a little bit smaller.
Okay.
I said, well, what did they look like? She said, it looked like typical scarecrows, and they were walking towards me. Were they real? I asked her, were they real close? Kind of close? She said, no, they weren't real close. They weren't far away. She said, as soon as I seen them and they were coming towards me, she said, I, boom, hit, ran, started beating the door down. Her mom opened the door. They were gone.
Huh.
Now, the way I look at it, why would she make that up? She wasn't dreaming, so...
Yeah, and I look, that one fascinates me, Chris, especially as storyteller, right?
Oh yeah,
trying to tell unique stories about unique monsters. A scarecrow family.
Yeah.
Wow. So, did she ever have any other experience with this scarecrow family?
No,
or the wolf?
No, never again. But she would see her not far from there in the other old house. She'd see her aunt that passed away, that would be combing her hair all the time in the mirror.
She would. You said she would see her in the mirror?
No, see her by the mirror. I mean,
okay.
Mirror, doing her hair, and said she'd turn around and smile like a translucent ghost. So, and then she went to her uncle's one time, not far from there, and she heard some commotions, and she didn't see it, but she knew it was a ghost, something going through the attic. And
so now, is this all in the same land?
All in the same general area, because what you got is you start off the highway, and there's my place, and it's a road that 2-lane highway. You go all the way down there about 2.5 miles. It dead into the river. There's the mounds. To the left and right's the community. So, this is not far. And there's I'll tell you when I come back, I'll try to remember it. There's an incident since I started the podcast. My cousins have told me about that's happened. I'll tell you for sure. I got a relative about where that happened to me in 2011. Not even a quarter of a mile. He would tell me about something coming in his window several times,
See that
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Ashes. Did she say after she saw the wolf, did she ever try to go back to that juke joint?
Oh, she went back.
Okay.
She'd go back. I mean, but she never seen it again. I'll have to. You know what? I'm gonna see her later tomorrow, or even call her. I'm going to ask her if she's ever seen anything else.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm curious, back in the day, we know what juke joints were. They'd be passing, musicians would come through. I'm wondering if it was a musician that was passing
Hey, that's
through.
a thought.
Yeah.
It could have
been
because, the werewolf thing, I'm all new to this, and I'm getting to think that there's different types of werewolves and dogmen now.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's a good one. That's a good one to stop on. And what I want to do is I want to ask everybody who's listening, put in the comments, what do you think?
Oh yeah,
Was it what do you think was going on with this land? What do you think about the werewolf? Was it a passing musician? Was it something else? But even back to the story he started with, what was that entity that stopped at the clearing?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Ashes, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, tell everybody how to get in touch with you and to find your shows.
Well, if anybody would like to be a guest on my podcast, and I talk about everything supernatural, Bigfoot, cryptids, you name it. My email is ashesboomboomroom@gmail.com. Just ashesboomboomroom@gmail.com. And you can find me on YouTube. You got to type this in. At the Boom Boom Room 777 is to find my channel on YouTube, and then you can find my gaming channel if you're a nerd like me. Is Ashes Antics.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I've not taken a look at your gaming channel yet, but I know you got something like 10,000 subscribers on there. But I've been looking at some of your stuff and watching some of your stuff on your other channel, which seems to be growing too. You've got like 3,000 or 4,000 on there. So everybody, give Ashes some love and reach out to him and listen to his stuff and comment, like, subscribe, and all that. And we thank you because Chris and
Yes,
we
do.
say this all the time. Yeah. We love you and we take your time very importantly, and we try not to waste it. And we feel that this has been a conversation that should be entertaining, and we want your feedback. Let us know what you think. Yeah. And
great stories, man. I loved it.
Yeah. So we will see you. Right. Good. Ash is looking forward to the next conversation. Madman, thank you. And everybody, we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.